Now, here's a little story I got to tell.
Testing, testing. 1, 2. Are we live yet? So this episode is going to be a little bit different, being that there's nobody being interviewed. It's more so having to do with my thoughts and reflecting a bit on the podcast thus far. And I could honestly say that I'm humbled and honored that there's even people willing to share their story, something so intimate, something so personal about themselves with a complete stranger. I mean, this podcast is just getting legs. You know, there's not a grand audience, but I've already noticed that with those that I've spoken with, it was just the fact that they had a platform to share their story, their heart, and that meant something to them. And that's exactly what I had in mind when I created the podcast, the thought of this podcast. There's already been a handful of episodes, and in a way, this is therapeutic for me, hearing different perspectives, beliefs, ideas, thoughts from people in different walks of life, the struggles they've had, the challenges they faced. We're all born into different conditions, and to hear these stories, I mean, it's opened my eyes up. It's taught me some things. And I really have enjoyed every one of these conversations. And I hope some of that bleeds through whatever listening device you happen to be on. It's been a great experience for me so far, sharing this interaction, this connection. And I'm happy that I made this choice. In the beginning, I remember when I did create the post and I put out an open invitation to see who would be interested in something like this. And that there was a response already took me back a little bit, because then I had to actually follow through with it. But like I said, it's really about the human connection, sharing in that experience, in that struggle, in challenges, and also the fact that we're able to hear different perspectives in ways that people found themselves out of a hard situation. How others, just like us, everyday people, the common folks, have figured out a way to make things better, turn things around. I look forward to what's down the line for this podcast. A big reason for this, the spirit behind it, the heart behind it, is my wife. We all have loved ones and people around us who we might look up to, who have proven to be good examples. One of those people for me is my wife. Right now, for the past 2 weeks, she's been at a rehab center. Recently, she had neck surgery. They cut her open from the throat, and she's been at a rehab center right now, getting better, taking classes, and in the right type of environment to help her heal, recover, and offer everything that she needs to get well and to help her in her recovery. And not too long ago, about a year actually, she had spinal fusion. 2 major surgeries, damn near back to back. Talk about a fighting spirit, the spirit of a warrior. Even though she would be the first to downplay her situation, this woman is it. I mean, that, along with everything else that she's been through and has dealt with and is still dealing with in her life, from the trauma, the anxiety, the stress, she's been through the fire, and she's still smiling, she's still pushing, she's still kicking. You can't stop a stepper. And she was a big reason for me wanting to do this podcast. Because me, looking at her and knowing everything she's been through and what she survived and what she's overcame, if I'm able to be inspired, touched, moved, and motivated to want to do something more, or just be a better person in general, I know there's other stories like that where there's someone else who will be moved and touched in the same way. Each one teach one, I'm reminded of. I mean, from the surgeries to the trauma and abuse as a child, to working in the medical field for 20 years in the ICU intensive care unit in Germany. She's worked with children who are disabled, handicapped, in a psychiatric ward, in intensive care unit for over 20 years. She's seen a lot, the negligence of doctors, patients passing, all of the stress and everything that comes with it. Worked herself, dedicated herself, gave herself so much to where she became sick, her body broken, and now she's the one in need of care. How ironic. I mean, there's really too much and so much of her story to get into right now, but she's a big reason this podcast was created. And she's that bright light in my life. She's been that positive push and somebody that I look up to and I admire and I appreciate. I mean, speaking of the surgeries, after spinal fusion, that same day, she got in the walker and walked. Not long after that, I mean a handful of days after that, we're walking around the neighborhood. We grabbed our dog and we went through the forest walking. Hula hooping was something that she found that was like her therapy. That was her joy, that was her happiness. And after the spinal fusion, she was wondering, it might be a while. Not long after that, she started hula hooping again. I mean, she does some impressive things with that hula hoop. It brings happiness to me. It brings a smile to my heart, seeing her smile and enjoy how much she enjoys hula hooping. Spinal fusion didn't stop her from doing that. Never mind some of the doctors and the nurses, even people that have been through the same thing, told her it might be a while. You know, take it easy, lay down. You have to recover. Of course you have to recover, but she's stubborn. She wasn't going to lay on that bed for too long. Getting up, moving, trying to do any kind of activity, picking up that hula hoop, walking around the neighborhood, through the forest like we used to. That didn't stop her. And then fast forward to today with neck surgery. I mean, it was a serious surgery. I think it was about 7-8 hours. They cut her through the throat. There's a lot of things that could have went wrong, but thank God everything worked out. But you would think after neck surgery, okay, you have to take it easy, relax, recover. And she did for a handful of days again. But then, like I said, she's stubborn. There's too much fight in her. There's too much fire in her. She got up and tried to wash herself, shower by herself. It was frustrating. I mean, she can't move like she used to, but she still did it. Then after that, okay, let me see if I could stand up a little bit in the kitchen and cook. She likes to cook. She likes to bake. She did it. Let's sit down, see if I could sit upright and do some arts and crafts, color and dazzle up these coffee mugs. She did it. Started walking again. She was moving day by day, doing more, active, but at the same time, I would have to remind her, you gotta take it easy, baby. Slow your roll. It's good progress and all that, but let's not do too much. Then it got to the point where, let me see if I could drive again. She did it. All of these things, that it was a matter of weeks. I mean, what they told her and what they advised her to do was lay down, relax, recover, take some time. But it was something in her. It was a fight. It was that beast in her that wouldn't let her just lay down, complain, and mope about the pain or any of that. And then just a little bit before she went to the rehab center, she picked up the hula hoop again and started hula hooping. Imagine that, doing what she can with the hula hoop. For her, it was frustrating because she realizes that there's some movements that she can't do like she was able to do before. I mean, that's understandable, but she's doing what she can. And to me, that's the spirit of a champion right there. That's the giant inside of her, that beast inside of her. It can't be contained. It won't take no for an answer. So right now she's at the rehab center and she's getting well. She's getting better, from physiotherapy to vocal training, water gymnastics, even the diet, everything they have over there at that rehab center to help support her and put her in a good position to where she can recover and get well the way she has been. It hasn't been that long since the surgery, but she's made great progress. She probably stayed down and laid down for but a few days, and after that it was her trying to figure out, what can I do? How can I do? And she's at it. She is my giant and a big part of why this podcast is. She's the spirit behind it, the heart behind it, and I thank her for being her unique, wonderful, and beautiful person. There's people in my life, I'm sure like there's people in your life that gave you some light, gave you a push in the right direction when you might not have been in the best of places. Those are the people that inspire this podcast. I wanted to share a little bit of why I created the podcast. I know the intro did a good job of it, but even a little something personal about myself. And I mean, it's only right. Those of you who have came on this platform and spoke your heart, you shared something personal about yourself. We've had some good episodes, and we're going to continue to move and groove. There's a couple of episodes in the pipeline. I've already did the interviews, had the conversations. Shout out to Fry out in Germany and Jake from the UK. They both set some time aside to share their story, and I'll be publishing those episodes one next Thursday and then the last Thursday of this month. And I also have another interview coming up at the end of this month, which I'm looking forward to. So if you stuck around this far, appreciate your time, your listening ear, and I'm thankful for each and every one of you that have reached out to me, that have shared your story, and I look forward to connecting and linking up with many more to come in the future. And if I'm not the only one, and this resonates with you, you've enjoyed the guest on the show, you were moved or touched by the stories that were shared, shoot me a line, get in contact with me, let me know how you feel, or even if you want to be on the show to share your story. So this was just me thinking out loud through this microphone. Till next time, and very soon, peace.
I'm looking for a sign to know I'm on the right road. Ain't seen no sign since